Hey, this is your name. And they say it ain't easy being green.
Got those great solid. All gas, no break. We're not talking about that on the field. We're talking about the process that we do.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no way I'm not have enthusiasm on the sideline.
The New York Jets.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the A.E.B.G podcast, broadcasting to you live from Crystal Lake Studios in Mohegan Lake, New York. Switching it up on you guys. Joining me, as always, my colleague and co-host, the number one Jet fan in the state of Texas, Michael Garris, everybody.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
What's going on, Michael? Of course, the number one high school football coach in the nation with the new, fresh, minty, clean background. Enough of whatever you had going on in the you had your dining room sets nice, Sammy. No one wanted to see it. Okay, we want that background you have there. Now it's beautiful. Number one high school coach in the nation, my cousin Sammy. What's up, bro?
Jet Nation, what's going on? Hope y'all dig the new background.
And we got a special guest this week. You know him, you love him. Weapons Hot Podcast, CJ, the painkiller, DeSimone. CJ, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? It is good to be here.
Yeah, very happy to have you with us, dude. Last week's show, Mike, a lot of people loved it. Like me and CJ were just chatting about before the show started. A lot of football heads liked the information, the PFF information, Mike, kind of stacking us up against the rest of the division. I don't think people realize, and a lot of people said this to me, how good, and we can ask CJ this because I know you listened to the show last week. You know, you know this, but I don't think a lot of Jet fans and people outside of New York know that what they're going to put out there this year obviously is much better than last year. But from a pass protection standpoint, I think they stack up with any teams in the AFC East, right?
I think so. I mean, look, as far as pass protection, if this offensive line is not middle of the pack, or at least heading upward to maybe 13th or 12th in the league, then you want to know something? Then we failed. We failed somewhere because Joe Douglas's mission was to build a green wall around Zach Wilson. And that's exactly what he's been doing for the past 2 years. Now, that being said, some of the strategic moves that he's made have panned out. Some of them did not. Thank God we got rid of a couple of dead weight. We still got one more jackass we need to get rid of, Chuma Doga. But you know, we need some guys to come in and to have depth pieces. So the guys that we're going to be bringing in, chances are probably going to be after the first preseason game, possibly the second preseason game. Yeah. Whereas we're not going to see the bloodbath that we've seen in years past for the past couple of years, where we have 90 for 3 games, and then all of a sudden there is just a complete bloodlet. And then now we're down to 53. No, we're going to 90. Then from 90, they go to 80. Then from 80, they drop down to 65 or something, or something to that effect. And then from 60 or 65 or whatever it is, then we get our final 53. So there are going to be opportunities for veterans that maybe just don't make the cut, veterans that are being cut, good players that are being cut to make cap space. We still have a couple of teams that are still a shitload over the cap. So you know that there are going to be a lot of financial decisions made over these next over the 3 weeks that pertain to preseason. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see exactly how it all transpires. But still got linebackers we still need to address. Still got depth on the offensive line we still need to address. Still need to address the defensive interior. Still got to get a run stuffer. Yeah. Okay, so there's still a lot of work to be done, but right now on paper, if you take a look at the New York Jets right now, as opposed to where they were at this time last year, they are a much better team on paper than they were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, CJ just brought the heat and the fire, guys, right off the bat to start the show. That's the first thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say is we're doing rushing attack this week. Same approach last week. We're going to look at this rushing attack for all the teams in the AFC East. We're going to stack it up against the whole division, see where we think the Jets rank. Might crunch the numbers again. I want to let everybody know, you know, we used to have interns on the show who did all the source, you know? COVID hit. We had to let a lot of people go. So me and Mike been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, these numbers Mike's been compiling, night in, night out, burning the midnight oil, working, coming home, doing numbers. He's just compiling data for the show, everybody. And we're going to get into it again, Mike. I know you went through the offensive line when it comes to the run blocking, Mike. Look at the quarterbacks. kind of how they affect the run game, and you looked at the running backs. Let's start off here with the offensive line, Mike. Talk about some of the numbers you came up with when you went through PFF and crunched them up.
Yeah, guys, look, we did pass blocking last time. We're doing run blocking this time from an offensive line perspective. We know the changes last year from a ranking perspective. The New England Patriots were the best team when it came to PFF run blocking ratings. They had an overall 75.8 grade. Isaiah Wynn, Ted Karras, and David Andrews. We know the names. We went through it last year. They had the best run blocking game. The second was actually the New York Jets, coming in at 72.08. George Fant wasn't as good at run blocking. He actually had a 59.1 grade. His pass blocking grade was much better. So that's a place he can improve. But Elijah Vera-Tucker was solid when it comes to run blocking at the left guard position, 72.5. Connor McGovern was almost an 80 at center. Very, very good. Greg Van Roten, even though he's a trash bag, he wasn't that bad either at a 75. And Morgan Moses was a stud at 74.9. Buffalo Bills came in at number 3, 62.8. A couple of guys there that were kind of garbage. Bodeger, 51.3. Deion Dawkins is pretty decent, 67. Mitch Morris is terrible at center, 60. So there's, their run blocking game wasn't the greatest. And then the Miami Dolphins last, of course, Eichenberg, Austin Jackson in the mid 50s, just complete scrub. And then we know the changes that were made in the offseason. The New England Patriots did go down a little bit from a projection perspective. All I did is I put a 60 projection grade for Cole Strange, the rookie. But essentially, Isaiah Wynn is coming back, left him at a 76, put in Cole Strange at a 60. Mike Awanu, he had an 84.9 run blocking grade back in 2020. I used that because he played 92% of the snaps then, vice last year. So I don't know if he's going to be that good, but he had a very solid rookie year from a run blocking perspective. Trent Brown. So they did decrease just a little bit, 74.08. The New York Jets increased. They went to 72.28. George Fant in there, Connor McGovern, Lincoln Tomlinson, add 75, Elijah Vera-Tucker switching. I'm projecting him at about a 73, and Becton at about a 74. So we're still projected the second best run blocking grade. Buffalo Bills in third, 68.08. They actually increased just a little bit. Saffold, terrible at pass blocking, much better at run blocking, 76.8, and Ryan Bates 61.2. So they're still there at number 3, and the Miami Dolphins did increase significantly right behind the Buffalo Bills at 63.68 with Armstead addition and with Connor Williams addition. So that's how I've got it. I pretty much got it from last year, same rankings. The Jets you could put at the number 1 spot, but that's what I got from a PFF perspective, Keith.
Yeah, when you look at it, Mike, when you crunch the numbers up, now Morgan Moses played pretty good last year. When you look at what Becton's run block grade was the year before that, I know he's playing left tackle, Morgan Moses is playing right tackle, but Becton's pretty comparable. So you slide Becton over there, he's 23 years old. I think Morgan Moses is about 32. So for me, even though the grades are comparable, that's a good improvement there. And that's kind of what his strength was for Becton. We know when he was out there as a rookie, he was smashing through people. I love A.V.G, I love Tomlinson. I think that the run blocking is not going to be an issue this year. Let's throw to CJ. We're going to go through all these different teams and break it down, guys. I want to ask CJ, now you heard the pass, we kind of talked about this last week with the pass protection and everything, but we add Tomlinson to the mix, we move A.V.G over to the right side, Becton's probably going to be on the right side. You saw McGovern last year, you talked about it on your show, we talked about it on our show, run blocking wise, pretty solid. He graded out pretty well also. Surprisingly, George Fant, when it comes to the run game, not as good as you would think. The pass protection pretty good. But CJ, what do you think when it comes to the overall run game this year? We got Breece Hall. We know we got Carter. We know we improved the line. You see the grades here. Last year, I think we ranked CJ maybe 25th or 26th, something like that. I think it was 27th, around there in the league, around 98 yards a game. Do you see a chance here for a big improvement with this rushing attack this year with this line and the new running backs?
I think we should be in line for a pretty solid improvement from the running backs because, look, let's face it. Last year, Michael Carter was asked to do a lot. Ty Johnson was asked to do a lot. He's still, Mr. Drops from the butt. Oh, God. But, look, I digress, all right? But the running back core last year, we didn't have some of the horses that we thought we were going to have. I mean, let's face it. You guys know I'm a LaMichael Pirine guy. He disappointed me. Did not stick with the roster. There's a possibility he may end up be getting cut before training camp. And this is a guy that you guys know I was very, very high on. Even though he's not very fast, he's very solid with the ball. He doesn't fumble. Catches the ball very well out of the backfield. Makes something out of nothing. Has the potential to be a good, solid third down back. Problem is, he does not fit this system.
Yeah.
So now you've got a guy in Breece Hall. Breece Hall paired with Michael Carter. And both of them very, very explosive runners. Very, very powerful runners. Can get to the second level in a hurry and make guys miss. And this is the key. If the Jets can find themselves a possible fullback, or you got your 3 tight end room, okay? We got the undrafted free agent Lawrence Cager, okay? He changed his position from wide receiver to tight end. Make his happy ass a fullback. Make his happy ass a fullback. Go on in there and punch me a hole. Get these guys some running lanes. I want to see this rushing attack is going to be the key to Zach Wilson's continued development, because if we have a solid rushing attack, teams cannot stack 8, 9, 10 in the box and dare Zach Wilson to beat you with the arm. Because
I couldn't agree more.
This kid can beat you with the arm. This kid can hit the 3. Because if we establish that run game, then guess what? You know what happens, guys? Defenses have to play honest. They can't stack the box like they used to.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And I think this is going to really help Zach Wilson. Let me ask Sammy. Sammy, look, you're a high school football head coach and you understand talent. I want to know, is the Patriots offensive line from a run blocking, are they better than us? Because when I look at them, Isaiah Wynn at the left tackle, Trent Brown at the right tackle, right? I look at George Fant and I look at Mackay. George Fant had a 60. The other 2 tackles on the New England Patriots are 76 and 70, right, from last year. But then you got Becton on the right side. So I would say the tackles are probably better for the Patriots than the Jets as of this point. But then you look at the guards compared to Tomlinson and Vera Tucker. We got them from a guard perspective, and the centers are pretty much equal. So overall, you know, I don't know. Maybe the Jets are better. What do you think, Sammy?
Well, I think on paper the Jets are better, but I don't know who's been coaching the offensive line of the Patriots for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 decades, but that guy deserves a medal, you know? Like, because no matter who's in there, for some reason, that offensive line is just like a really well-oiled machine. And it doesn't really – they've kind of always been plug and play and played really well despite that. So I think, yeah, on paper we're more talented. And I think potentially we have – like our ceiling is obviously way higher than the Patriots, right? But in terms of I hope that we have just as good as coaching as the Patriots had, because our ceiling is higher, if that answers your question.
Yeah, last year they finished 8th in the league in rushing. The attack was mostly Harris and Stevenson, both of them averaging about 4.6 a carry, which is pretty strong. And this year, you look at what they're bringing in. I mean, Cole Strange, for most people, we said it last week too, was a reach. I'm not, doubting that they don't have faith in the guy, but you can't look me in the eye, anyone on this planet, and say the Patriots have had great drafts for the past 10 years, because they haven't. We know the facts on that one, guys. So, I mean, when a team like that, if that was the Jets, we'd get buried. If the Jets drafted Cole Strange where the Pats did, burial. Instead, you hear these morons like Greenberg going on, be like, oh, you can't doubt Belichick. It's like, yes, you can doubt him when it comes to drafting. What are you talking about? Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. When it comes to the Dolphins here, though, let me ask you this, CJ. The Dolphins, the way they shape their offensive line, and we mentioned this last week, also, is that they have Austin Jackson playing right tackle. He's kind of a scrub. Mike showed the stats last week when it came to the pass blocking grade. Mike, his run blocking grade is just as bad. What is going on? And, they kind of built up, and Mike mentioned this in the notes for the show, they kind of built up the left side of their line, but the quarterback is left-handed. I know in the running game that might not have too much of an effect, but I just want to get your opinion on that, because we talked to Matt O'Leary last week, and he was like, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I know they spent all this money on Armstead, but he plays left tackle. He's going to help your run game, I guess. When you look, he's more of a pass protection guy than a run game guy. His run blocking grade wasn't even that high. So what do you think about that, the way the Dolphins constructed this offensive line for Tua back there?
I think, yeah, on paper, the Jets are better, but I don't know who's been coaching the offensive line of the Patriots for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 decades, but that guy deserves a medal, you know? Like, because no matter who's in there, for some reason, that offensive line is just like a really well-oiled machine. And I think
It's going to be really interesting to see exactly how this offensive line will perform in regards to Tua because, guys, Brian Flores is not there. They have a brand new head coach. They're going to have a brand new offensive system. They're going to have a lot of install, and you're going to have a lot of guys, a lot of moving parts, especially you guys know how, look, we saw it last year with Salah, right? We had difficulty with the offensive install, difficulty with the defensive install, right? Sometimes things do not work the way that they're supposed to. And I just feel like that the Miami Dolphins are probably one of the biggest question marks in the AFC East because a lot of people still put them ahead of the Jets, but I don't. And it's not because I'm disrespecting the Dolphins. It's because they're a team in transition. They really are. So for them to learn a new offensive system, for them to actually have a new voice in the locker room, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that offensive line is going to perform. That being said, I'm sorry. Call me a homer. You could do that. I thoroughly expect the Dolphins to take a step back this season, where they are not going to be an 8-win, 9-win, 10-win team. I think they may end up being a 4-win, 5-win team. Because I think as the offensive install goes on, and regardless of the addition of Tyreek Hill, look, if your offensive line cannot protect Tua, who's getting Tyreek the ball?
Yeah.
A ghost? Were they going to pull the ghost of Dan Marino out of the fucking stands and he's going to throw the ball? No. I give it, the over-under is 5 games. I probably give it 5 games before Tyreek Hill starts bitching and regretting the decision of going to Miami.
Man, I hope so, CJ. Now, unlike the Dolphins, the Bills are actually a good team, unfortunately. I don't really respect their running game because their running backs are jabronis. And when you look at the numbers, Singletary and Scrubs, I know they got Cook, but I think he's more living on his brother's name. But I digress on that note. What I want to ask you is how good, honestly, does their offensive line really need to be when you have a guy like Josh Allen, who unfortunately is machine-like when running?
The Bills right now are head and shoulders above everyone in the AFC East. And as much as I hate to say it, Mike, you and I talked about this privately a couple of days ago during our telephone conversation. What did the Bills do? They went out, they spent significant assets on fortifying the offensive line, right? Josh Allen, his rookie year, was lucky he could hit the ocean. I could put his happy ass on the beach and he could throw it toward the ocean and somehow it'll hit a rock.
Yeah.
Okay. But he didn't need to because the kid could make plays with his legs and everybody's afraid to hit him. The second year, what happened? They fortified the offensive line. They got him a solid offensive weapon in Stephon Diggs. They go 10-6 and make the playoffs, right?
Yep.
Year after that, AFC Championship game appearance. All right. So again, if the Jets are going to be smart, take a look at what your opponents within your own division is doing. You guys have heard me say this, that the Jets need to take a page out of the Belichick book, right? The Patriots book. Go and find those hungry guys. Don't tell me what a guy can't do. Tell me what he can do. Invest your significant assets in protecting the offense, in building the offensive line and protecting your quarterback, and the rest will fall into place. Because you know what? Your quarterback can't get the ball to your skill position players. You're going to be 3 and out more times than you can count. Do you know what that means? That means your defense is going to spend anywhere between 65 to 80% of the time on the field. Don't believe me? Go watch the fucking Falcons game from last year. 83% we spent on the field.
Yeah. And you know, we just talked about the Bills, and we just talked about how they're head and shoulders. It's unfortunate. And even with their scrub running backs, when you go and look at the PFF rushing grades, CJ and Sammy, the Buffalo Bills were number 2 last year overall. Singletary had a 77.9 and Moss had a 76.2. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the fact the defense was spying Josh Allen. The number 1 rushing team was the New England Patriots, 83.5. Harris and Stevenson. Jets came in third, 76.15 with Carter and Coleman. They were right there. I mean, from a PFF perspective, they were right behind the Bills and New England, and then Miami was last with the jabronis, Gaskin and Brown. So the changing from the last year to this year, there were some additions. Obviously, the New York Jets went and drafted Breece Hall. I projected him at an 80, and I did that because I looked at Jonathan Taylor's rookie season, and he was at 80 from a rushing perspective. I went to Najee Harris, and I couldn't believe how low his grade was. He really was. I don't mean to digress, but he really wasn't that good, Najee Harris, last year. I mean, he had
volume guy.
Yeah, volume.
Yeah,
dude.
that's what he was. He didn't even average 4 yards a carry last year. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike, but didn't average 4. We know for fantasy purposes, but which is not. That's like the benchmark, I guess. 3.9 is not the end of the world, but didn't light the world up.
I think Hall is going to be better. So I got him at an 80, Carter at a 78. Buffalo Bills, I got Cook. I put him at a 75, Keith. I could have put it lower. I just gave him the nod. I know. I gave him the nod. I put him at 75.
Mike, look at my face.
I just look. I put.
We'll get to it.
I gave New England their grades from last year, and then Edmonds and Brown 73.5. So overall projections, New England is still 1. Jets moved to 2. Buffalo is 3 at 76.5, and then Miami 73.5. They've come way up. So those are the numbers that I've got, Keith, for next year.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead, Sammy.
About Buffalo. So in terms of like their offensive line run attack being good enough and having Josh Allen, I think their grades are low because they do have design runs to him, but most of his stuff is sort of impromptu, and it's hard to grade that because they're just holding a position and then he takes off and they're like, all right, cool, let's go block people now, So they can't really. A lot of those unplanned things and impromptu stuff that he does and he does really well isn't going to be factored into something like this. So I think that's important too, just to take into consideration, because on his feet when he's rolling out and things like that, that's not going to be sort of rolled in here. So I don't think their run grades matter. I think he's good enough that it doesn't matter.
I got you. That was my question. Essentially.
I think he's good enough that it doesn't matter.
And if you
he's going to get his, it's just the longevity's not there, right? But he's going to, for now, he's going to get his.
Yeah, when we get to the quarterbacks, I want to talk about the longevity aspect of this whole situation. But I agree with you, Sammy. And, when you look at what the Bills are able to do, I mean, Josh Allen's obviously a big part of the rushing game. He had over 700 yards last year. And when a quarterback rushes the ball that often, that lowers the amount, obviously, of rushing attempts for running backs, and then lowers the amount of attempts you're then graded on. So maybe their grade's a little off. But if you look on paper at PFF, what Mike's been throwing out here for the Bills, I mean, they don't grade out well at all. So it hasn't affected them one bit, though, has it, guys? They'll still seem to steamroll everyone and run right through them. When it comes to these Jets running backs, though, we know we drafted Breece Hall, guys. We know he had 56 touchdowns in 36 games in college. Averaged 5.5 a carry, averaged 9 yards per reception. Are you kidding me right now? We know we added him to the offense. Like CJ said, Michael Carter last year, very dynamic player. As the year went on, all he did was better everyone, just like Zach Wilson. Beginning of the year, the yards per carry wasn't there. As the year went on, Michael Carter got much better. CJ, let me ask you, man. You know who the Bills have. You know the Dolphins personnel. You know the Pats personnel. You know the line we have. Where do you think not only do we stack up in this division when it comes to what the running attack's going to bring? I know you mentioned some of this earlier, but just how do you think we stack up against the division? And then do you think the Jets have a chance with this line and Breece Hall and kind of the approach they're going to have to be one of the better running attacks in the whole league?
The Jets have an opportunity to be extremely competitive within this division. Now, you guys heard me say last year that I thought that Robert Saleh's goal should be, didn't matter what the win-loss record was, go at least 500 in your division, right? And the Jets ended up shitting the bed, except for the last game against the Bills. Now, the second game against the Patriots, Zach Wilson still needed to get his feet wet, went into a bad situation. What happened when we played them the next time? We ended up getting absolutely slaughtered, right? Okay, the Dolphins, same way. We didn't play hard enough. They put Joe Flacco in there. Flacco didn't make enough plays to win the game. Defense couldn't hold it together. We saw that this team can fight hard against our division rivals. Problem is, we haven't done shit against our division rivals in probably about a decade plus, right? Okay, so for me, mandatory, You need to go 3-3 in your division. Okay, you're going to have a clunker. New England's always going to find a way to beat you at least once. Beat them once. The Bills, put a fucking scare into them. Beat them once. The Dolphins, you have no excuse but to smack the shit out of them because they are a fucking team in transition. So you need to beat them. We have to stop with this word if. Oh, if guys stay healthy, or if these guys can play great, or if this guy could do this, and if this guy could stop playing with his jockstrap. I want the word when, not if. When we beat this team, because that is the only way that the New York Jets are going to get respect around the NFL. You beat somebody you have no business of beating. You do things that nobody expects you to do. Go out, split your division, beat a couple of fucking teams, beat the Vikings, beat the Saints, beat those teams that nobody expects you to beat. Beat the Ravens on opening night. Pound them into the fucking ground. On 9/11, no less.
So CJ, the reason that the Jets have not been able to do this in a long time is because they haven't had really any elite talent. Honestly, I mean, we haven't been able to really compete against any of these teams really. So one thing that Keith and I did very. I don't mean to pat ourselves on the back, but Keith and I did very, very well this year. Is that we both projected Breece Hall getting drafted to the New York Jets, and the reason why we did, is because we said, well, we're not going to get an elite receiver. We're probably going to have to draft one, but we need to scare defenses. And how the hell do we do that? We can't get that big time superstar wide receiver. Well, why don't we just draft the best damn running back in the draft, match him with Carter, get that line, and every time you have to play the New York Jets, you got to worry about our running game. And that's exactly what JD did. Because in my opinion, CJ, Breece Hall and Michael Carter are going to be the best running back duo, not only just in the AFC East, but I would say probably they have one of the top 5 unit in the NFL. I'm going to be that bold and say that, and usually I'm not that aggressive, but I am that aggressive. I'm drafting Breece Hall in all leagues that I can. I already know what they're going to do with this dude. I already know, because if Zach is a scrub, they're just going to run Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time. That's what's going to happen, okay? And I could see it, all right? So my question to you is, when it comes to the Patriots, they had the best running game last year. Do you think, and you said if they can beat it, we don't want if, we want when. Do you think Hall makes us a when type team? Do you think Hall is the best running back in this division?
I think he could be. I don't want to say that he's the best because of the fact that the only thing that we have to go on, Michael, is his college tape. College is a lot different from the NFL. You and I both know it. We've seen college guys, Heisman Trophy winners, come to the NFL and completely get the shit smacked out of them. It's like, welcome to the NFL, rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? We want those kids that are going to come in there and say, I'm going to make the NFL game my bitch, and I'm going to study everything that I need to do. Nobody in the weight room is going to work harder than me. Nobody on the practice field is going to work harder than me. Nobody in the film room is going to study harder than me. And then take everything that they do and apply it every Sunday. Because you know what? You could be the best guy at training camp. You could be the best guy at practice. You could be the best guy in the film room. You could be the best guy in the weight rep. If you're riding the fucking bench on Sunday, or you're fumbling the ball, or you're dropping bubble screens out the backfield, and you can't get open to save your life, nobody gives a fuck where you were drafted. You're going to find your ass on the fucking bench, and then 3 weeks later, you're going to find yourself on the fucking waiver wire.
Well,
so come in, put your money where your mouth is, and produce. Because you know what? You guys know how I feel about this franchise. Yeah. You guys know how I feel about this organization. I love this organization, and I wear my fandom on my sleeve.
You listen. You're right. Potential. You're right. But I'm telling you, when Breece Hall suits up at the end of this year, he's going to be the best running back in this division.
I think TJ's talking about, like, there is Trent Richardsons out there, though.
Yeah, I know.
That have been gripped up.
I would argue. Listen, there's no running backs in our division.
I know. That's what I'm saying. There's scrubs. As was about to get into. There's Edmonds, Brown, Harris. There's scrubs in this
one
division.
in the fantasy football universe is like, know who I'm getting this year?
I know.
Damian Harris, bro. He's gonna crush it. No one's ever said that in real life. You know. So
he's right.
So
I love it, Sammy. I love it.
I'm more excited about like the potential of Michael Carter than I am Damian Harris. Or
Completely agree.
Right.
Edmonds had his chance. He's not great.
Sammy, do you think though, when you look at the 4 teams right now, would you rank? And we got the numbers here. I know James Cook. I kind of agree with Mike. Even when he was in his college career, it wasn't amazing. He had 14 career TDs in college. That's like half a season for our boy Breece Hall. He has 56 of them. I'm not trying to be that guy. I know you're just talking about college stats. Because college is college. Pro's different ball game. So we'll get to it with Breece Hall. But when we stack these teams up against each other, Sammy, last year the Dolphins were absolute trash bag running the ball. And we're going to get into 2 in a minute. Gaskin was just atrocious. I don't know, but CJ's down there in Florida. He knows. I don't know what people thought about Gaskin. God, he was horrible. I mean, Duke Johnson did his best. They had nobody really to run the ball last year. This year, Sammy, they have now Mostert as the backup. They have Edmonds. They have Sony Michel. They have the varied attack now. They made some moves here on the offensive line. They have to. Armstead's a good player. They have to improve just getting him and getting Connor Williams, right? So what do you think?
Dude, Sony Michel over there, what are they going to do? They're going to wheel him out there with his walker? Was he going to borrow Frank Gore's wheelchair? Come on now. Get the hell out of here.
I don't see.
Do you still, Sammy, do you think they're still the worst team in this division here when it comes to this Russian attack?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Bills have Josh Allen, right? We're going to talk about that. But so that's Dolphins have nobody, and Tua is not going to run it. He's not going to. He's already been injured. He's done with that whole scene. So you got to rely on his arm really heavily. That's why you brought in Hill, because you know you have to. You have Gesicki, you have Hill, you have Waddle for a reason, because they're not going to be able to run the football efficiently. So they've made that pretty clear to everybody. They're just like, put 4 guys on the line of scrimmage and drop everybody in coverage, and we'll beat you with our arm. But I think they easily have the worst run game in the division.
And I will say though, Sammy, I know that fantasy football wise and stuff like that, Harris may not be ranked high, whatever. But I do know that efficiency wise, him and Stevenson were pretty good last year.
Solid.
And they have 4.6 a carry. He's pretty good.
I had Harris last year.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing when it comes to the running attack in New England, because it just seems like, I think we mentioned this earlier in the show, that they always manage to get the job done with the rushing attack, which just drives me nuts. And with the Bills, they brought Cook in. Like I said, to me, he was slightly underwhelming in college, but he did run a 4.42 too. We'll see what happens with him. Singletary was pretty decent last year, also averaged 4.6 a carry. But Mike, when I stack these teams to myself, I think we could easily have the best rushing attack. New England on paper, I get it, because their line looks pretty good. Running backs last year, they've already proven it. We don't have a guy we have one guy. Michael Carter last year almost had 1,000 yards combined, so he played pretty well. And what did he miss, guys? 3 games, I think.
Yeah.
So give him those 3 games. The kid's way above that. But I think we could have one of the better rushing attacks for sure. And
because I think our talent at running back supersedes theirs, and our blocking is right there with theirs. We just went over the numbers. So in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Our line is closer in talent than the talent is between their running backs and our running backs, in my opinion, because I think Breece Hall is a stud. I know that's just an opinion. I know it hasn't been proven out. That's just what I believe. I believe we got a star. I think he's going to be offensive rookie of the year. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike, it's not just you that thinks that about Hall, but I think just CJ's taking the correct approach, which is just to be like, let's not crown him yet. Until he goes out there and starts ripping it up, and then we'll all jump on. Well, CJ will be the first one on board if he's going out there and ripping up 120 yards a game.
I watched a bunch of film of him, and I got to be honest, if you watch film, you watch what he does, 90% of his tape is his receiving ability, which is pretty awesome to watch because he's got great ball skills. But when he runs the ball, it doesn't look special. You watch it, and if you don't kind of know what you're looking at, he just runs straight downhill and gets touchdowns, and you're like, why? It's just always open for this guy, right? Because he makes 1 or 2 cuts inside a line of scrimmage and he's gone. So I agree with you, Mike. I think he has the potential to be really special. I think it depends how we block it up front, because he's used to that zone blocking scheme where he can kind of like pick and choose where he wants to go. But he's got him and Carter, I think, make a really
Oh
great.
man, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at our boy, 82 receptions, over 700 yards in college, 9 yards per reception, like Sammy said. Go watch the tape of some of his catches he's made, some of these throws on the sideline. I mean, the kid's as athletic as it gets. And then Carter, as we spoke about before, he did the same thing last year. I'm not saying he's going to be Breece Hall, but he's already been in the NFL and played pretty well. So that's one thing he has going for him. And Mike, these quarterbacks also, though, the way they affect the rushing game. We spoke about it earlier. We prefaced it. Let's get into this now when it comes to Josh Allen and Zach. We got some numbers on Zach that might surprise people towards the end of the season. And then you get to Mac Jones and Tua, who's just a statue. Just has the hip of an 85-year-old man. I don't know what is going on. They're just geriatric hips.
I mean,
Mike, he when he starts scrambling, Mike, he looks like when they show footage of Phil Jackson walking on the side of the court, like just upright like that, scramble, like hips, bowed out hips. And I feel bad for him because I'm sure he's a tremendous athlete, but he's not physically ready to run the ball. Mike, go ahead. What do you got with the QBs though in these PFF stats?
Keith, you remember when Wile E. Coyote would go after Roadrunner and he would fall down and hit the ground, and then the big old crack would just come up the side of the wall? That's what Tua is afraid of if he runs. He's gonna get cracked up on the side of his hip. It's gonna go.
Did he have? And he had the same injury as Bo Jackson, right?
These numbers you're throwing out about Tua like makes the Dolphins. I feel like their whole plan makes it just so much worse. Like everything they did. They needed a running back so badly, and they were.
I know these numbers are crazy,
and we're gonna get Tyreek Hill instead.
I'm telling you, CJ. So look, from a running perspective for our quarterbacks, Josh Allen. Why people think he's the best quarterback in the NFL is because of this stat I'm going to give you right now from a PFF perspective. He has a running grade of 92.3. That is super elite. That's the highest PFF grade I have seen yet in any position anywhere. He's spectacular.
The entire running game runs through Josh Allen.
You're right. No, and that's what makes him so damn dangerous. He's and we're going to talk about how long we're going to talk, CJ, we're going to talk about how long he can keep this up, because I don't think he can keep it up for that long, because he's not going to survive, in my opinion. Number 2 at rushing, Zach Wilson, 86.2. I looked at I said, whoa, his rushing. Now, Keith's going to get a little bit more into the context of that, but number 2, and it's pretty good. He's an 86 rushing grade. That's really good. Number 3 is Mac Jones at 71.0. What's Mac Jones? You saw him in the All-Star in the Pro Bowl when he was like running, hustling. And then you got Tua at 60.1, to Sammy's point. They're rushing. They have no threat in the rushing perspective. So that's where the ranks were last year. I put them projected in the same type of value. Josh Allen the best, Zach number 2, Tua at 4, Mac Jones 3. Those are the numbers, Keith.
Yeah. And get this, Jet fans. So last year, we talked about this on the show. CJ talked about it on his show also. Towards the end of the year when Zach came back, he did manage to use his legs a little bit more. Now, the carries in the first 8 games of the season for Zach, he had 13 carries and he had 27 yards, which is putrid, right? That's not great for a kid that's athletic. But you remember he kind of had the deer in the headlights going on. He's getting sacked a lot. It wasn't like he had a lot of design runs or anything like that. They're trying to keep it simple for him. Not that great, though. But, guys, you look at the last 5 games, Zach had 16 attempts, 158 yards. Over 5 games. That's 31 yards a game. You average that out over a whole season. That's over 500 yards rushing for a quarterback. That's tremendous. That's upper echelon rushing numbers. I'm not saying Zach's going to do that, guys. I'm just saying for 5 games, he did do that.
Yep.
We saw it happen last year. I know one of those games, I think he had 80 yards rushing one of the games. Guys, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. You know, CJ, we all saw it. The end of last year, the line did play better. He seemed like he dialed it down a little bit, slightly more conservative, used his legs a little bit when it was smart. And you said it on your show. We said it on ours. We were waiting for him to do that because I know he's not, you don't look at him. He's not a big Cam Newton-sized guy. But if there's opportunities to run, you got to run. You got to take advantage of it. And it seemed like he brought that into the fold. And that's why I want to ask you, CJ, when it comes to the Jets, I'm not saying they're going to start doing design runs for our boy. But you mentioned this earlier, dude. We've been saying it on the show, too. When it comes to Breece Hall, what he's going to bring to the table, when it comes to these play actions we're going to be able to create. Because you have to respect Breece Hall, hopefully. We're hoping. And Carter now with the new line. And when these play actions hit, if no one's there, he can just run the ball.
Exactly.
CJ, do you think, though, this year they're going to incorporate that more in the offense for Zach? Maybe just get him 4 or 5 carries or encourage him to do exactly what he did the last 5 games of last year and bring that to the offense?
I hope that they encourage him to do that, because you know what? If you go and you're doing a play action and the play's not there, rather than force yourself into a bad throw or force a throw into double, possibly triple coverage, dude, if the C's part in front of you, bro, be like Moses and run. Just run, yo. Just be like, what? I got all this green grass in front of me. All right. You guys have heard me say this on my show a ton of times. All right. A 3-yard gain, a 5-yard gain, a 7-yard gain is better than a 10-yard loss. All right. A 2-yard gain is better than a 10-yard sack.
That's true.
All right. So how many times did we see Zach Wilson backpedal, run backwards? And you just see he got 5 guys on him. But if he just stops and runs forward, everybody's going to over pursue. Nobody's going to catch him. And he could freaking just take off for like 10, 15, 20 yards possibly. All right. We know the kid's got wheels. He's got to be smart enough, and the coaches need to take the leash off him a little bit and say, if the play's not there and you have an opportunity to run the ball, but don't get hurt. Make sure you're doing your baseball slides. Make sure that you're keeping yourself from taking those big hits that we saw Ben Roethlisberger take, Cam Newton take, that we see Josh Allen now starting to take. All right. Any running quarterback, they're going to tell you, once you become a runner, it's fair game. Defensive players are going to hit you wherever. They're going to do whatever it takes to bring you down. If they got to go helmet to helmet, they got to go helmet to shoulder. They got to plant their helmet square in your chest or in your back to bring you down. They're going to do it. They're going to go after your legs. They're going to do all kinds of shit. We saw RG3 basically get his soul snatched on fucking national television, doing a run where you just see him get hit in the leg and you just see his leg just go woo, just like off like craziness.
Do you think the Patriots are going to have Mac Jones be like Brady, or do you think they'll try to incorporate more running in his game?
I got news.
He ain't running nowhere.
Mac Jones.
He ain't running nowhere.
Exactly. He just said it. Mac Jones ain't running nowhere. He'll maybe run for 2-3 yards if the play is all like completely dead and like, dude, you're gonna see him drop to the ground and just like shrivel up into the freaking fetal position.
You want to know how accurate CJ is, bro? He's just said that shit off the top of his head. Last year, Mac Jones, 44 attempts, 129 yards. He averaged 2.9 an attempt, just like you just said, CJ. That's what he's bringing to the table. He's as slow as it gets, and he's just taking advantage of situations when everything breaks down. You would always see Brady every once in a while would run for 15 yards, and he would be in slow motion the whole time while he did it. Let me ask
Brady
you, Sam,
was such a gawk, man, I tell you. Like, yo, remember that time when he slid and he stuck his leg all the way up and he tried to go like spikes first into a freaking linebacker who was over there, and he's like, what the hell is this? Yeah. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
It's wild because even though Mac Jones, I mean, yeah, but he did nothing last year when it comes to rushing the ball. That's not the type of quarterback he is. We know that. He still might be better when it comes to rushing the ball than Tua. I mean, you look at Tua's stats here in the NFL, they are trash. I mean, his last year in Alabama, guys, he ran the ball 22 times for 17 yards. I mean, it's hard to do. Sammy, what do you think when it comes to Tua? He has the hip flexibility. I think the Crypt Keeper from the old HBO show has more hip flexibility than our boy here. What do you think when it comes to Tua? His stats have been atrocious. He's averaging 3 yards a carry in his career, Sammy. You think he's actually worse than Mac Jones? I know we're comparing screw-ups here.
Yeah, no,
Where do you rank him?
worse. Mac Jones he might be the biggest frat boy quarterback I've ever seen in the entire history of football. And I think he's a better runner than Tua, who looks way more athletic than Mac Jones.
Yeah, he does. You're right. Exactly.
And the problem is that Tua and that whole franchise in general just has decided that running the football is a terrible idea, and they're no longer invested in that as a strategy. And to be successful, they will solely rely on Tua's super strong arm.
On the low, Sammy, that franchise is doo-doo. They only won one playoff game in this entire century. Do you know that? They've only won one playoff game.
Keith knows because he's come to a bunch of my football games. I love running my quarterback. It's one of my favorite things to do because it's just another layer, right? So it's like I can run a counter, but I can now run 3 different plays if I just run a read. So I can throw it, I can run it in this direction, or my quarterback can be like, I'm going to go that way. So I've just added a layer to that. Right. So I love a runner. I hope Zach Wilson does none of it. I hope that the coaches are like, hey, man, to get good in the NFL, you're going to have to be a really good passer. And then in a year or two down the road, when he's really good at throwing the football, which is his primary job, then I'll be like, hey, you can run it now because I trust you. I would never – my quarterback's a senior. This year I'm giving him like full reins to run the ball when he sees an opening. But I've been working with him for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson's a professional athlete. He probably learns way quicker than this high school kid.
Yeah.
But I still don't trust him at all.
So
you know?
let me ask you this question, CJ and Sammy and Keith. In 2011, the first pick in the draft, Panthers select Cam Newton, right? It's now 2022. Cam Newton's out of a job. Yeah. Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl. He was an MVP candidate. He was a beast. I remember his first game. He threw over 400 yards. His very first game, I was like, oh, snap. This dude is a monster. And he's out of the league now pretty much because, he can't handle all that beating. And when I look at a guy like Josh Allen, I see the same type of quarterback. Obviously, they're different. They have different attributes, whatnot. CJ, can Josh Allen keep this up?
No, he can't. I'm going to be honest with you. He really can't, because if he does, all right, if he continues to take the beatings that he's taking right now, I got news for you, dude. He's not going to last in this league, because all it takes is just a couple of hits, right? In the chest, and his career could be done, or he could be out for a significant amount of time. How many times did we see Cam Newton get absolutely drilled?
Oh, killed.
Absolutely drilled. Ben Roethlisberger.
Dante Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper is another one. Randall Cunningham was another one. Warren Moon was another one.
Don't forget my boy McNabb.
But then you look at
Donovan
Tom.
McNabb,
You look at Tom Brady. He's 49 years old, right?
He would just fall to the ground when he would get
there and he
sacked.
falls.
Yeah,
exactly. Statuesque.
And just to CJ's point, I crunched some of these numbers today. Now we know Michael Vick's the all-time rushing leader. His whole career, he had 873 attempts.
Wow.
Right, that's his entire career. Josh Allen's played 4 seasons. He has 422 attempts already, guys. Now CJ just mentioned Randall Cunningham. His whole career, 775 attempts. Right? Russell Wilson, 846. Steve Young's 5th all time. I went down the top 5 guys. Steve Young's at 722. Cam Newton is at 1,118. Now, Mike's talking about Cam being out of a job now, but he has not been that great of a player for many years. His physical breakdown, his arm, his leg, this and that. I think CJ mentioned it when he would get hurt a lot. And a lot of these things would be impaled. And he had 4 or 5 great years, but it is hard to sustain this. I mean, Lamar Jackson's even ahead of that. Lamar Jackson's at 615 attempts, guys. But you look, Josh Allen is ahead of the Cam Newton pace. And a lot of these other quote-unquote rushing quarterbacks, they really only ran the ball 4 or 5 times a game. Right? I mean, Vic wasn't taking massive hits. If you remember the way he ran, he would run out of bounds all the time. Michael Vick was only 6 feet tall. He was 210 pounds. I think Allen, Cam Newton, these are giant men. So they're trying to show some bravado. But I mean, CJ said it. Some of these hits, some of the hits, Allen wants to deliver hits. Okay, and you're one of the biggest guys on the field. If it's him and a safety, that safety's in a bad spot. I get it, guys. But as a coach, you don't want to see that. And those things add up. And we know we're not going to get to CT and all these type of things, guys. But you don't want your quarterback getting hit or delivering 10 to 15 hits a game. That's not where you want your franchise QB at.
He'll be fit.
What Mike's kind of getting at.
He'll fit right in with the Hill people after his career.
True. That's true. I mean, every one of those hits, he's getting closer and closer to the average IQ level of every single resident in Buffalo. I think right now he's still floating above 100, but he's going to go sub 100 soon, guys. And then they'll start jumping off flaming tables, do piles of shit too, just like these fucking idiots do in their parking lot. I don't know. I hate the Hill people, guys. You know how it is.
So CJ,
Bro.
How good? So CJ, last question: how good do you think the Jets are going to be next year?
I think the Jets are going to be a team which a lot of teams are not going to want to face. And I'm going to be honest with you. I can definitely say last year we watched this team be very, very competitive, right? And what's one of the things that we wanted to see last year? Just be competitive, right? We just wanted them to come out, be competitive, don't embarrass yourself, right? That's all. That's all we wanted.
Yep.
That's all we wanted. All we wanted was go out there, don't embarrass yourself. All right, and most of all, don't embarrass us. Right? What did we do? Okay, they went out there, they played their asses off, they played hard for freaking Robert Saleh, and you want to know something? They did real good. Okay, we may not have gotten the desired results, but we didn't see players quit on this team, right? So there's every reason to believe that with the increased talent now on the Jets, with the influx of talent, new guys coming in, upgrades, fortification on a lot of different places upon this team, they have to take a step forward. They should take a step forward, or maybe they have to take a step forward. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, if I see it, last year we won 4 games. If we only win 6 games this year, dude, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed, and I'm going to be ripping this fucking team a new asshole week in and week out. Why? Because you did not invest all of these draft assets, all of this capital, go out and make these free agents for another fucking 6-win season. Okay? You need to hit that 7 mark. You need to hit that 8 mark. You need to hit that 9 mark. You need to be somewhere in the month of December where teams are shitting their pants knowing that they have to play you. Because now you're in the hunt for a wild card spot. Maybe you're a game out. Maybe you're a game and a half out. Okay? The easier part of the New York Jets schedule is toward the tail end of the year. Am I right? Everybody's pissing and moaning about the first fucking 9 games of the season. Jets are going to go 9. Jets are going to go 1-8. The sky is falling. Because every typical asshole Jets fan who's going to come out there is going to come out of the woodwork and say this team fucking sucks, and they think they're going to go 1-14 every fucking year, or 1-16 every fucking year. All right? Grow a set of balls. Have some fucking faith in your team and go out there and cheer. If not, don't fucking watch. Stop fucking it up for the rest of us.
CJ, you got to understand.
Believe it.
CJ, you got to understand. Most Jet fans are not our age. You know, we're older, so we've seen some success. They're my children, and
right,
generation. They haven't seen the Jets good. Like at all. They don't even know what that concept is. They're like they
the younger
win more
generation
than 5
don't
games?
know what
Seriously?
the playoffs are. Don't understand what the word Jets and playoffs, that they don't go together.
They don't understand.
I get it. Fans of this team for the past 10 years, they're probably suffering the biggest drought that we are. But I've been a fan of this team since 79. What, I'm going on 43 years rooting for this team. So, I mean, I've seen some shit. I've had some happy times, and I've had some times when I wanted to shave my head. And then there are other times that I should have been an Alcoholics Anonymous. All right. Yeah. But I still continue to bleed green and white. I still continue to rep my team, and I'm going to praise them when they do great things, and I'm going to bash the shit out of them.
I just have a lot of pent up like aggression that I want to let out, and I just have never done it. Yeah, and I just feel like I just want a W, like a tremendous W on Monday Night Football, and just talk shit. I want it, man. I feel it. It's inside, and I haven't let it out in a long time. I've been waiting, like Mike Tirico. That's the ball game, bounced around, whatever the hell he said, and all this stuff with Rex and everything, and I'm ready.
That's how the Jets season should end.
Yeah,
ugly,
just
like the franchise.
Yeah.
Ugly and a loss. It's like I would love nothing more than for the New York Jets to have a come from behind. That's what I want. I want Tony Correnti to be the fucking umpire, to be the ref for that game. Okay. and I want Mike Tirico on the call. And I want the New York Jets to come back from like 10 points down in the fourth quarter and fucking steal a win against a team we got no business beating, just so I could see the pain in Mike Tirico's face when he actually has to give the New York Jets franchise and the New York Jets organization some fucking credit. Because you know why? Between him and fucking Tony Corrente, I'd like to hit the both of them with a fucking shovel. All right?
You hear that? You
Yeah,
hear that,
man.
Tirico?
That's the
Watch
painkiller.
your back, Tirico. CJ's out there and he's fired up, ready to smash your face in. Guys, you know, that's a good point you made, is that we did have a run of success. We won the division 98. We won the division 2002. Made the playoffs a whole bunch of times after that. We made the playoffs with Mangini. We made the playoffs with Hearn. We made the playoffs with Rex. Right? We had these different regimes that have a little bit of success. I mean, Todd Bowles went 10-6. We didn't make the playoffs, but I mean, everyone's had a little bit of a run. The past 10 years has been dark. It's been a dark time, and I get it, man. If you're a young Jet fan, you're like, what the hell? If you're a young Jet fan listening to this show, and you've only seen the darkness, but you still tune into Weapons Hot, you still tune into A.E.B.G, first of all, thank you. Second of all, the tide's about to turn. Tide's about to turn, everybody. And I want to say, I want to throw out to you guys in Vegas, the Jets are 28th right now, 28th worst odds to win the Super Bowl, which I think is very disrespectful, in my opinion, guys. I don't think we're that scrub level this year. The 4 teams below us, obviously, the Falcons, obviously the Texans. Do you want to hear the other 2 teams, guys? Just to make you guys happy.
Ooh.
One of them is the Panthers. Okay? You got Sam Darnold. Knock yourself out, guys. You already drafted another quarterback. How's that working out for you? Thanks for those picks.
And the Giants.
No, even better, Mike. Who would be even better?
Patriots?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Oh.
Clocking in at number 30. Jamal Adams. You said, I hate to go back to it. You said you wanted to go to a winner. Now you're on a worse team than the Jets, and we're shooting up.
Man,
We're shooting up.
guys.
If we were in the boardroom right now, they'd have the charts out, the data out.
I was really
They'd
thinking,
have the laser pointers, and they'd be saying, look at the Jets.
guys.
Look at the Jets stock going up. And look at the Seahawks for Jamal Adams. You got your money, and your team's going to stink, bro. Russell Wilson, peace out. I love it.
I was thinking, CJ, guys here, we go to Seattle for that game.
Oh man,
I'm telling you, that is so. Can you imagine? We walk into that stadium and we actually beat them, and Jamal's just on the. Son, I want to see it live. I want to see it.
That would be wonderful. You know, 'cause I want to. They don't have a big stadium, so there's not a lot of tickets available, right, Mike? I think it's only like 50. It's like the size of freaking City Field. This freaking place, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to go there because not that I want to talk smack to the quote unquote 12th man that's only existed since Russell Wilson came into the league, but why do I gotta hear that these morons? I say this all the time, Mike. You're in Seattle. It's nice there. You got Russell Wilson. Things are going great. The real 12th man is the Jet fans when they're 0-10 and it's freezing cold and we're still cheering this team. That's the real 12th man. You don't have to struggle.
That's right.
You don't struggle in the West Coast. You don't deal with what we deal with out here. So I don't want to hear it. Sorry, Mike. I always bash on the Seattle fans, but that never existed when we were younger. There was no 12th man. When Steve Largent was catching passes when I was little in Tecmo, 12th man didn't matter.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying,
right.
guys?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden Russell Wilson created the 12th man and they act like they're the greatest fans in the world. That bothers me.
Facts.
All right. You know what? It's time to get out of here, Mike. Did we hit all the top talking
We
points?
did. We did.
So what happens now that Wilson's gone? Is the 12th man gone too, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, is that the 12th man? You know where you're gonna have slinging the rock next year? Drew Lock. Have fun with that one, guys. Who's the Mike? Is Geno Smith still there? It's like
man.
the curse of MetLife Stadium, Jamal Adams. It's following you. Okay, you got Geno Smith as your quarterback. This is the greatest thing of all time. They're gonna be a bag of garbage. Their defense stunk last year. Okay, they did. Yeah, I know we want to run the ball. Pete Carroll, your offensive line stinks. You know what I'm saying?
Two rookie tackles.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for next season to see. I mean, I don't often, besides the Patriots, have joy in other teams' failures, but they've turned me against them, Seattle, before they got Jamal Adams. And for a hot minute, I had to see blogs where you guys thought you won that trade. You got destroyed in that trade. The building blocks of our team we have because this idiot leaving. So, Joe Douglas, you're going to get a statue outside MetLife Stadium soon. But CJ, if anyone wants to get at you, hear Weapon Top, be involved in your world in any way, shape, or form, how can they do that?
Well, first off, before I do that, I do want to say it's a tremendous honor to be on this podcast with all of you fine gentlemen. It is definitely a pleasure and an honor to finally meet the voice Sammy O'Hare, and I wish him the best of luck with his continued success in the realm of high school football. As we all bow to you, my friend.
Number one.
That's it. All right. So you can follow Weapons Hot on Twitter at Weapons Hot Show. You could follow me at JetsFan0523, my partner in crime, Kevin Jackson at Spotty Blackman. Weapon Todd has a Facebook page. Go there. Our content's up there. Hit that like button. Message us or message you right back. We love to go back and forth with fans about this team. Also, leave us some feedback about how we're doing here. If you think we're doing a great job, that's awesome. Leave us a comment. You think we suck and we know nothing about football? That's fine, too. We'll roll with you. We'll troll with you back and forth. It's all good. Weapons Hot, the main stage, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If you haven't gone to their Facebook page, go there, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Every time Weapons Hot goes live, you'll be able to get that notification. Plus, yours truly does a solo show called Weapons Hot Mission Briefs on a Facebook page called Jets World. Be sure to go and like that page. Also click that notification bell so whenever Weapons Hot Mission Briefs go live every Tuesday night, you'll get that notification and you guys can come and roll with us. Gentlemen, you all have the open invitation. Anytime you want to rock with Weapons Hot, I got a spare seat in my bird. We will bring you guys up, and we are going to fuck some shit up.
He always tells me that. He always tells me that, Keith. He's like, you guys come anytime. Get on the
Anytime.
website. Like,
CJ's always ready to rock, man.
He's always ready
to
to
talk
rock,
Jets.
man. I
Always
love
ready
it.
to talk
We
football.
are ready.
And if you're not, all A.E.B.G listeners, man, if you're not listening to Weapons Hot, get on it immediately. It's one of the best in the business. CJ and Kevin Jackson, they do it every single week, crushing it every single week for longer than everybody else. He's a veteran in this
Killing
game,
it.
Okay?
Killing
We're
it.
trying to get it. We're just trying our best to get to CJ's level. That's all we're doing here, guys. Just a humble little show. Just a humble little A.E.B.G trying to get up to our boys' level one day. You know what I'm saying? And Mike, CJ just hit a home run right there with his promotion of his show. So now it's your turn. No pressure or anything. You know what I'm saying? No pressure. Tell them where they can find A.E.B.G, Mike. Let's go.
Guys, we're on YouTube. We like, subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're on all of the main platforms. If you want to find us on social media, we're on Facebook at aebg.jetsradio, on Twitter at aebg_NYJ podcast, and on Instagram at jet.aebg.
All right, everybody. On behalf of the biggest Jet fan in the state of Texas, Michael Agaris, on behalf of the #1 high school football coach in the nation today, my cousin Samuel here, and on behalf of the painkiller, CJ DeSimone, I'm Keith Farrell. Get at you next week, everybody. Peace out.